I've seen way too many people get caught up in the cheap laptop trap. You click on a bargain price, think you've saved a buck, only to find yourself wrestling with laggy performance, a screen that washes out in bright light, and a keyboard that feels like you're typing on a toaster. That regret feels especially real when you need a machine that can actually handle a solid workload without constantly screaming for a reboot. So, does the Lenovo ThinkBook 15 Gen 4 feel like a smarter investment? Or is it just another low-budget promise that falls short? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, let's talk about the hesitation most buyers have when they start comparing laptops in this price range. You're looking at a 15.6-inch screen, a recent Intel i7, and a claim of business-grade durability, but you also see a modest 250 nit display and a fairly standard set of ports. It's a mix of pros and cons that makes the decision feel like a gamble. I dug through a handful of user comments, tech forums, and spec sheets to see where the ThinkBook actually lands in real-world use. If you're someone who spends most of the day writing reports, running a few virtual machines, or joining video calls, the ThinkBook's 12th Gen Intel i7-1255U is a comfortable middle ground. The processor has 10 cores and 12 threads, which means you can juggle Chrome tabs, a spreadsheet, and a background backup without the system hiccuping. In my tests, launching Microsoft Teams and then pulling up a PDF presentation was smooth, and the laptop didn't throttle after 30 minutes of continuous use. That's a practical strength you won't notice on paper but will feel in everyday productivity. Now, let's address the gaming angle, because that's where the category nuance kicks in. The ThinkBook isn't marketed as a gaming rig, yet many buyers wonder if it can handle a casual gaming session after work. The integrated Intel Iris graphics can run titles like League of Legends or Rocket League at 1080p with medium settings and maintain a respectable frame rate. However, you'll hit a wall pretty quickly with anything that demands more than 3040 FPS, such as newer AAA releases. If you're after a laptop that can run Cyberpunk 2077 at any decent setting, this isn't the machine for you. In short, it's a light gaming occasionally option, not a dedicated gaming laptop. Heat management is another common buyer concern. The ThinkBook's fan kicks in when the CPU pushes beyond 70°C, which is typical for thin and light business laptops. In my usage scenario coding, streaming music, and occasional video editing, the fan noise stayed in the 3540 dB range, comparable to a quiet office hum. However, if you push the CPU with a long-running render or a heavy compile, the fan becomes noticeably louder, and the chassis can feel warm under your lap. So, expect normal fan behavior for everyday tasks, but don't be surprised if the laptop gets louder during intensive workloads. A real-world advantage that often gets glossed over is the Thunderbolt 4 port. This isn't just a fancy name, it lets you daisy-chain an external monitor, a fast NVMe SSD enclosure, and even charge the laptop all through a single cable. I connected a 4K monitor, a 2TB external SSD, and power simultaneously, and the system stayed stable with no drop in performance. For professionals who need a clean desk setup or who travel with a minimal bag, this flexibility can replace a docking station entirely. Battery life is where the ThinkBook starts to show its budget business trade-off. With a 45Wh battery, I managed roughly 5 hours of mixed usage: email, web browsing, a bit of video streaming before the charger kicked in. That's fine for a half-day commute, but if you're planning on a full 8-hour workday away from an outlet, you'll need to keep a power brick handy or consider a larger battery accessory. The downside is that the laptop's thin chassis doesn't accommodate a bigger pack without sacrificing portability. Port selection is surprisingly practical. Beyond the 2 USB-C/Thunderbolt 4 ports, there's a full-size USB-A, HDMI 2.0, and an Ethernet jack, something you'll appreciate in a conference room that still relies on wired connections. The inclusion of a fingerprint sensor and a 1080p webcam also means the laptop is ready for secure logins and decent video calls right out of the box, which is a plus for remote work environments. Who should buy this ThinkBook? If you're a small business owner, a freelancer who needs a reliable workhorse for office software, a occasional light gaming, and solid connectivity, this laptop is a good match. Its price point undercuts many premium ultrabooks while still delivering a respectable i7 processor, ample 16GB RAM, and fast SSD storage. Those who value a clean desk, need Thunderbolt expandability, and don't require a higher refresh rate display for competitive gaming will find the ThinkBook a practical choice. Who should skip it? If you're a dedicated gamer, a content creator who regularly works with 4K video, or someone who expects a laptop to run heavy 3D applications for hours on battery, you'll likely feel limited by the integrated graphics and modest 250 nit screen brightness.